The moment I knew something was wrong, Isaiah was sitting in his high chair, laughing at nothing. He had this giggle that could melt steel, pure, unfiltered joy. His curls bounced as he clapped his chubby hands, applesauce smeared across his cheeks. And then he looked at me with those bright green eyes. Green. Not hazel like mine, not blue like Scarlett's. Green. Vivid, sharp, unmistakable. My name's Apollo. I'm a civil engineer, husband, and until recently I thought I was a father. I leaned against the kitchen counter watching him. He looked nothing like me. Not just the eyes, the nose was wrong. The chin. I used to brush that off. Kids change, right? But I couldn't shake it anymore. I'd been noticing things. Scarlett dodging my touch some nights, her phone always face down, and the way she tensed whenever my brother's name came up. Silas. Babe, I called out, trying to sound casual. Isaiah's due for his checkup soon, right? Scarlett glanced up from her sketch pad, lounging on the couch in her paint-stained hoodie. Yeah, next Thursday. Why? I shrugged. Just making sure we're on top of it. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You're always on top of everything. I smiled back, tight-lipped. Inside my stomach churned. That night, after she fell asleep, I stood over Isaiah's crib. He was snoring softly, thumb in his mouth. I knelt down, heart pounding, and gently swabbed the inside of his cheek with a cotton kit I'd ordered online. My hands shook as I sealed the envelope. I didn't sleep that night, just stared at the ceiling, listening to Scarlett breathe beside me. The next morning, I dropped the envelope in the mailbox like it was nothing, like I wasn't about to detonate my whole life. 5 days later, I was in my car outside the office, parked under a gray sky. Rain tapped the windshield. I told my assistant I was grabbing lunch, but I hadn't moved in 20 minutes. The email came at 11:42 a.m. Subject, paternity test results. I clicked. The PDF opened. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I stared at the screen, blinked, read it again. 0.00%. My hand went numb. My phone slipped from my grip and hit the floorboard. I sat there, frozen, while the rain picked up, blurring the world outside. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember unlocking the front door, but I remember her face when I walked in. Scarlett looked up from her laptop, startled. You're home early. Yeah, I said, voice dry. We need to talk. She closed the laptop slowly. Okay. I walked to the kitchen table, pulled out a chair, and sat. Is he mine? Her mouth opened, closed. She swallowed hard. I asked you a question. Silence. My hands clenched into fists. Say it. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't think you'd ever find out. That was it. No denial, no excuses, just that. I stood up. The chair screeched behind me. How long? She wiped her face, mascara smudging. It was a mistake. It only happened a few times. With who? I already knew. I wanted to hear her say it. She looked away. Say his name. She whispered it. Silas. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. My lungs burned. My ears rang. I'm sorry, she said, voice cracking. I didn't mean for it to... Stop! I walked past her, grabbing my keys off the hook. My vision tunneled. My heart thudded like a war drum. Where are you going? She called after me. To get answers. The bar was dim, music low. Silas sat in a booth, drink in hand, grinning like he owned the place. He didn't look surprised to see me. Hey, big bro, he said, raising his glass. Long time. I sat across from him. My knuckles ached from how hard I was clenching my fists. You slept with my wife. He sipped his drink. Yeah, I did. I stared at him, waiting for guilt, remorse, anything. Instead, he smirked. You were always the backup plan. I lunged. The table slammed into his chest as I shoved it forward. He spilled his drink, stumbled back laughing. A bouncer grabbed me before I could swing. Silas wiped his mouth, still smiling. Guess we're even now. Even? I let the bouncer drag me out, my heart hammering, ears ringing. Even? As I drove home, I couldn't stop replaying his words. Backup plan. Backup plan. I stormed inside straight to the bedroom. Scarlett wasn't there. I yanked open the drawer where I'd hidden the USB stick months ago, back when I started noticing things. A tiny home security camera tucked behind a photo frame in the living room. I plugged it into my laptop, clicked through the folders, and there it was. Timestamps, footage, shadows moving in the dark. I hit play and watched my world fall apart again. The footage was grainy, but it didn't need to be high def. The date stamp read July 14th, my birthday. I watched the screen, jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. Scarlett walked into the living room in that silky red robe she always wore when she wanted something. She lit a candle, poured 2 glasses of wine. Then Silas walked in. I paused it there. I stared at the screen, trying to breathe. My hand hovered over the mouse. My chest felt hollow. I hit play. They kissed. She laughed. He grabbed her waist like he'd done it 1,000 times. She pulled him toward the couch, my couch. I slammed the laptop shut. The sound echoed through the room. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the back porch, a blanket over my shoulders, Isaiah's baby monitor buzzing quietly beside me. The stars were out, but I couldn't look at them. All I saw was that video. By morning, I wasn't angry anymore. I was numb. Scarlett came into the kitchen, hair wet from a shower, wearing one of my old shirts like nothing had happened. "Hey," she said softly. "You didn't come to bed." I didn't answer. She poured coffee. "I know you're hurting. I wish I could take it back." I looked at her. "How long?" She hesitated. "It started before we got married." Stopped. "Then it happened again, after Isaiah was born." I stared at her. "Why him?" Her eyes welled up. "I don't know. He made me feel seen." I laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "You live in this house, sleep in my bed, wear my clothes, and you needed to feel seen?" She looked away. I grabbed my keys. "I'm going to see Kinley." "Wait, Apollo, please." I didn't. Kinley opened the door in sweatpants and a hoodie, toothbrush still in her mouth. "Jesus," she mumbled around the foam. "You look like death." "Can I come in?" She stepped aside. "You want coffee or tequila?" "Both." We sat at her kitchen table. I showed her the footage. The DNA test, everything. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she leaned back and said, "We're gonna burn them." I looked up. "Not literally," she added, "but we're gonna make them wish they'd never met." I rubbed my face. I don't even know where to start. She stood up, already moving. We start by finding out how deep this goes. That night, I waited until Scarlett was asleep again. I went into the garage where she kept her old art supplies. I moved a stack of canvases and found it, an old box labeled junk. Inside, under a tangled charger and some receipts, was a second phone. I powered it on, no password. The screen lit up with a message preview. "Miss you. Can't stop thinking about last time." My stomach turned. I opened the messages, dozens of texts, some recent, some from over a year ago, photos, voice notes, one video I couldn't bring myself to open. I took screenshots of everything, every timestamp, every filthy message. I sat on the garage floor for an hour staring at the phone in my lap. Then I heard footsteps. Scarlett stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "What are you doing?" I held up the phone. "You left the door wide open." She didn't say anything. I stood. "You didn't even delete them." She looked tired. "I didn't think I had to." I walked past her, brushing her shoulder. "You didn't. You just thought I'd stay blind forever." The next day, I met Kinley on the rooftop of her apartment building. She handed me a folder. "Bank records. She's been meeting up with him at a motel off Ninth Street. Paid in cash, but I tracked the ATM withdrawals. I flipped through the pages. My hands didn't shake anymore. Kinley lit a cigarette. So what now? I looked out over the skyline. I don't want to hurt them. She raised an eyebrow. I want to expose them. She nodded slowly. All right, we'll do it smart. I turned the folder over in my hands. I want them to feel what I felt, not just in private, in front of everyone. Later that night, I got a call from an unknown number. Hello? Is this Apollo? Yeah, who's this? It's Andrea, Scarlett's sister. I sat up straighter. What's going on? She hesitated. I think you should know. Scarlett lied about more than just Silas. What are you talking about? There was someone else, years ago, and she told you she had a miscarriage? My heart thudded. What about it? She didn't. She had the baby. Gave it up for adoption. She never told you. Silence. I'm sorry, Andrea said quietly. I just thought you deserved to know the truth. I hung up and stared at the phone. I thought I'd already hit rock bottom. Turns out I was still falling. I sat at Kinley's kitchen table, the second phone lying between us like a loaded gun. She scrolled through the messages, expression unreadable. Jesus, she didn't even try to hide this. Scroll down, I said. She did. Her eyes widened. Wait, this one's from 2 weeks ago. You were out of town for that conference. Yeah, I said. Guess who wasn't? She slammed the phone down. All right, we're not just exposing them. We're going to ruin them. I nodded. Start with the motel. I need proof. Receipts, security footage, whatever we can get. Kinley stood. Give me a few hours. That afternoon, I drove to Andrea's place. She opened the door, looking nervous. Thanks for coming, she said. Thanks for calling, I replied. She led me into her living room. I didn't want to get involved, but after what you said, I couldn't stay quiet. She handed me a manila folder. Inside were printed emails, old ones. Scarlett's name was on them. She was dating Silas back in college, Andrea said. They got engaged. It didn't last long. I stared at the dates. They overlapped with when I first met Scarlett. She told me they broke up before we started dating. Andrea shook her head. They didn't. She was seeing you both. Silas found out, flipped out, and that's when she broke it off. I rubbed my face. So, I was the rebound. She always said you were the safe one. I laughed bitterly. Yeah, that tracks. Andrea hesitated. There's more. The baby she gave up, it wasn't yours. Might not have been Silas's either. She was seeing someone else then, too. I looked up. What? She told Mom it was a one-night stand, but she was lying even back then. I stared at the folder. How many secrets does she have? Andrea looked down. More than I can count. That night, Kinley called. Got something. I met her in the parking lot of the motel off Ninth. She handed me a flash drive. Security guy owed me a favor, she said. Check the timestamps. I plugged it into my laptop right there in the car. Clicked through the files. There she was. Scarlett. Hoodie up, sunglasses on, walking into room 214. 2 minutes later, Silas. They stayed for an hour. The next clip was them leaving separately. Kinley leaned against the car, arms crossed. You still want to just expose them? Or are we going scorched earth? I stared at the screen. I want them to feel watched, like I did, every second. The next morning, I set up a burner email. I sent myself every screenshot, every video, every bank statement. I labeled folders, created a timeline. Then I sat down and wrote a list. Names. People who needed to see the truth. Scarlett's family. My family. Friends. Co-workers. Everyone who ever told me I was lucky to have her. I wasn't just going to tell them. I was going to show them. I invited Scarlett to dinner that night, lit candles, made pasta, played soft jazz. She looked suspicious. What's this? Just wanted to talk, I said. Start fresh. She sat across from me, picking at her food. You're being weird. I smiled. I've just been thinking about us, about Isaiah. She softened. He misses you, you know. I miss him too. She reached across the table. We can fix this. I took her hand. We will. Her eyes welled up. I love you, Apollo. I nodded. I know. Later, after she went to bed, I pulled out my phone and rewatched the footage. Her hand in mine, her voice saying she loved me. Then I opened the folder labeled Proof. I clicked through the files one by one. Motel footage, text messages, photos, DNA results, and finally, the last video. Silas and Scarlett. In my living room, on my couch, I hit pause, took a deep breath. Then I opened a new document. Dinner party guest list. It was time. I stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the blank wall. Kinley stood beside me, holding a projector remote. This is where you want it? She asked. Yeah, I said. Right here. Everyone will be facing it. She gave a low whistle. You sure you want to do this in your own house? I nodded. They ruined it first. She didn't argue. We spent the next hour testing the projector, syncing the files. Video, audio, slides, everything labeled and timed. I'd gone full engineer on this, no room for error. I even rehearsed the speech. 2 days later, I filmed the fake invitation. Scarlett sat beside me on the couch, smiling for the camera. I wrapped an arm around her, kissed her cheek. Hey, everyone, I said, forcing cheer into my voice. Big news. We're throwing a dinner party next Saturday. Just something small. Close friends, family. We've got something to celebrate. Scarlett giggled. It's his birthday, but he won't say it. I smiled. Come hungry. I sent the video out to everyone. Group chats, emails, even printed invites for the older folks. Scarlett never questioned it. She thought we were healing. She even offered to cook. The night before the party, I was in the garage checking cables when I heard her voice. She was in the kitchen, on the phone. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught one sentence clear as day. He knows. Don't come. I froze. She was texting someone. I stepped quietly into the hallway. She didn't see me. I waited until she went to the bathroom, then grabbed her burner phone from the junk drawer. The message was still open. To Silas. He knows. Don't come. I deleted it. Then I blocked his number. The day of the party, the house looked perfect. Scarlett had outdone herself. Candles, hors d'oeuvres, wine bottles lined up like soldiers. She wore a long green dress and that fake smile she saved for company. You look amazing, I said, kissing her cheek. She beamed. You too. Guests started arriving at 6. My parents, hers, friends, co-workers. Laughter filled the rooms. Glasses clinked. Isaiah toddled around in a little bow tie, blissfully unaware. Silas showed up at 6:45. He walked in like nothing was wrong. Hair slicked back, sunglasses on indoors. I greeted him at the door. You made it, I said. He smirked. Wouldn't miss it. I handed him a drink. You might regret that. He raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. Everyone gathered in the dining room around 7:30. Plates were full, music low. The lights dimmed just enough. Scarlett stood to toast me. To Apollo, she said, glass raised. The most patient, loving man I've ever known. I stood up beside her. Thanks, babe. But I've got a better story. Everyone turned to me. You all know I work in engineering, I began. I like things that make sense. Numbers, facts, proof. Laughter. I smiled. But lately I've been doing a different kind of construction, piecing together something personal. I clicked the projector remote. The wall lit up. First slide. Probability of paternity, 0.0%. A few gasps. Scarlett's smile froze. I clicked again. Footage rolled. Scarlett and Silas entering the motel. Timestamps, receipts, more gasps. Someone dropped a fork. Then the texts, screenshots, messages. Can't stop thinking about last time. He's so clueless. You taste like sin. Silas stood up. What the hell is this? I held up a hand. Sit down. He didn't. I clicked again. Security footage. The living room. My couch. Scarlett's robe. Silas's hand on her back. Krista, Scarlett's mom, gasped. Is that... Scarlett's face drained of color. My dad stood, fists clenched. My mom covered her mouth. I looked at Scarlett. You said you loved me. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I turned to Silas. You said I was the backup plan. He lunged. Chairs scraped. Someone screamed. But Kinley stepped in fast, grabbing his arm. Try it, she hissed. I dare you. Security, 2 guys I hired, appeared from the hallway. They dragged Silas out, cursing the whole way. Scarlett just stood there, shaking. I looked at everyone. This is the truth. You can hate me for how I showed it, but I didn't lie. They did. Silence. Then Krista fainted. After everyone left, the house was quiet. Scarlett sat on the floor, mascara streaked down her cheeks. I didn't know how to stop, she whispered. It was supposed to be you both. I didn't think you'd ever... I walked past her, stepping over shattered glass. You didn't think I'd ever find out. She nodded slowly. You were right, I said. Until now. Yahir leaned back in his chair, flipping through the folder I handed him. His office smelled like leather and ink, the kind of place where people signed life-changing documents and tried not to cry. He looked up. You've got more than enough for a divorce. Emotional damages, too. And custody? I asked. He nodded. Given the deception, the paternity fraud, and the living situation, you've got a real shot. I exhaled, finally feeling like I had some traction. Yahir tapped the folder. You sure you want to go public with all this? The dinner party thing? That was bold. I'm not hiding anymore, I said. Neither should they. He slid a form across the desk. We'll start with temporary custody. Once that's filed, she'll be legally required to respond. I signed it. Later that night, Andrea met me at a diner. She slid into the booth, eyes tired but sharp. You okay? She asked. I don't even know what that means anymore. She handed me a sealed envelope. I swabbed my brother. Got him to do one of those ancestry kits. Just said it was for fun. I opened it. Another DNA report. Another lie exposed. Scarlett had claimed her first pregnancy back when we were on a break was mine. She said she miscarried, but the test said otherwise. That baby wasn't mine, or Silas's. I stared at the paper. She gave it up for adoption? Andrea nodded. Didn't tell anyone but me. She said it was easier that way. I folded the paper, slid it into my coat pocket. Every time I think I've hit the bottom, she finds a new level. Andrea sipped her coffee. You still want to raise Isaiah? I didn't answer right away. He's not yours, she added gently. He calls me Dad, I said. That's got to count for something. The next morning, Kinley showed up at my door with a duffel bag full of tech gear. Time to finish this, she said. We set up in the garage. Projector, laptop, hard drives, backups. She even brought a ring light and a mic. You're gonna record a statement, she said. Just in case. In case of what? In case they try to flip the story. You need your version out there, clean and clear. I sat on a stool. She hit record. My name is Apollo, I began. I was married. I thought I had a son. I thought I had a brother. I laid it out. Dates, facts, footage. No emotion. Just truth. When I finished, Kinley turned off the camera. You want this to go online? I nodded. Not yet, but if they start spinning lies, I want it ready. She packed up. You're playing chess now. Every lie they told? That's a nail in their coffin. That night, Scarlett showed up at my temporary apartment. She looked like a ghost. Pale, makeup smudged, hair unwashed. I need to talk, she said. I stepped aside. She walked in, looked around like she didn't recognize my life anymore. You filed for custody, she said. I did. She sat on the edge of the couch. You're really going through with this. You think I'd stay after everything? She looked up, eyes red. I was messed up. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. She started crying. I don't want to lose Isaiah. You should have thought of that before you dragged him into this. I'm his mother. And I was his father, until you took that from me. She stood. You're not the only one who's hurting. I walked to the door and opened it. You should go. She hesitated, then stepped out. Before she left, she turned back. You're going to destroy everything. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, you already did. I'm just showing people the rubble. By the end of the week, Kinley had anonymized the footage and statements. Blurred faces, distorted voices. She uploaded it to a private server, password protected. If they try to smear you, she said, we go public. I nodded. Meanwhile, Yahir filed the custody motion. Scarlett was served at her studio. According to Mandrea, she broke down in front of a client. Good. Silas had gone quiet. No calls, no texts, no social media, like he vanished. I wasn't surprised. He always ran when things got hard. The night before the court hearing, I sat in Isaiah's room, packing his toys into a box. A stuffed lion, a plastic truck, a book with bite marks on the corner. He toddled in, rubbing his eyes. Dada? He mumbled. I picked him up, held him close. Yeah, buddy, I whispered. I'm here. He laid his head on my shoulder, and for the first time in weeks, I cried. The doorbell rang at exactly 6:01 p.m. I opened it to find my mom and dad standing there, both dressed like they were headed to church. My dad gave me a stiff nod. My mom hugged me a little too long. Smells amazing, she said, stepping inside. Scarlett's doing all the cooking, I replied. She wanted tonight to feel special. My dad grunted. About time she made herself useful. I didn't respond. Just guided them into the dining room where the long table was already set. Candles, wine glasses, cloth napkins folded like swans. Scarlett had gone all out. She was in the kitchen, humming, wearing an apron over a navy dress. Hey, babe, she said, glancing over her shoulder. Can you help me with the risotto? Sure. I walked in, took the pan from her, and stirred. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. You're being sweet again, she whispered. I miss this. I smiled, just enough to keep the mask on. Me too. Guests trickled in one by one. Krista arrived with a bottle of red and a loud laugh. Andrea came in quiet, eyes scanning the room. Kinley showed up last, dressed down in jeans and a hoodie, carrying a laptop bag. Security cam footage, she whispered as she passed me. Everything's queued. I nodded. Silas showed up late, as expected. He strolled in like he owned the place, wearing a blazer over a t-shirt, sunglasses on top of his head. Happy birthday, big bro, he said, clapping me on the back. Glad you could make it, I replied. He winked at Scarlett as he passed her. She didn't smile back. By 7:15, everyone was seated. Plates were full. Laughter bounced off the walls. Scarlett poured wine like nothing had happened. Silas told a story about a business trip to Miami that was probably just a weekend bender. I stood, tapping my glass with a fork. Can I say a few words? The room quieted. Scarlett smiled up at me. Of course. I looked around. Thank you all for coming. It means a lot to have family and friends here tonight. I've always believed in celebrating truth, and lately I've been learning a lot of it. Scarlett's smile faltered. I reached behind me and clicked the projector remote. The lights dimmed. The projector flickered on. The first image appeared on the wall. DNA test. Probability of paternity, 0.0%. Gasps rippled across the room. Scarlett's wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. Wait, what is this? Krista asked. I clicked again. Footage played. Scarlett and Silas walking into the motel. Timestamps, receipts. Her hand in his. His arm around her waist. The room went dead silent. Then the texts. Screenshots. You taste like sin. He's clueless. Wish I could stay in your bed forever. My dad stood up, face red. What the hell is this? Scarlett stood shaking. Apollo, stop, please. I ignored her. Clicked again. Security cam footage. My living room. My couch. Scarlett in her red robe. Silas pulling her close. Kissing her. Krista gasped. Andrea looked away. My mom covered her mouth. Silas laughed. This is a joke, right? I turned to him. You think this is funny? He stood. You're pathetic. You think this makes you look strong? Kinley stepped in front of him. Sit down, Silas. He shoved her shoulder. Get out of my way. 2 security guys I hired stepped out from the hallway. Big guys, silent. Sir, one said, you need to leave. Silas looked around, realized no one was on his side, and stormed out. Scarlett collapsed into her chair. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I clicked one last time. Another DNA test? Scarlett's first pregnancy. Not mine, not Silas's. You lied about everything, I said. Even the baby you gave away. Krista stood up, tears streaming. You told me you miscarried. Scarlett buried her face in her hands. I didn't know what else to do. My dad looked at me. You knew all this? I nodded. For weeks. Andrea stood slowly. You've been lying to all of us for years. Scarlett looked up at me, eyes wide. Please don't take Isaiah. I'm not taking him, I said. I'm saving him. After everyone left, I walked into Isaiah's room. He was asleep, hugging his lion. I sat on the edge of his bed, watching him breathe. Scarlett knocked on the doorframe. Her makeup was smeared, dress wrinkled. I lost everything tonight, she whispered. No, I said. You gave it away. She stepped closer. You still love him, don't you? I looked down at Isaiah. He's the only one in this house who never lied to me. She started crying again. I didn't stop her. I just stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked out. Scarlett showed up at Kinley's apartment the next morning, eyes swollen, hair pulled back like she hadn't slept. Kinley opened the door halfway and didn't move. I just want to talk to him, Scarlett said. Kinley didn't blink. He's not here. Scarlett tried to push the door. Please, I need to explain. Kinley stepped forward, blocking her. You had years to explain. You chose lies. Scarlett's voice cracked. I didn't think he'd ever find out. Kinley leaned in. You didn't think he'd stop loving you. That's what really scares you. Scarlett's lip trembled. He's turning Isaiah against me. Kinley laughed. No, Scarlett, you did that. All Apollo did was turn on the lights. She shut the door in her face. At the courthouse, I sat with Yahir and waited. Scarlett arrived 10 minutes late, dressed like she was going to a funeral. Her lawyer whispered something to her. She didn't look at me once. The judge reviewed the documents, tapping a pen against the bench. Given the evidence of deception, the paternity test, and the emotional distress caused, he said, I'm granting temporary full custody to the petitioner. Scarlett's face crumpled. Her lawyer stood. Your Honor, we'd like to contest. You can file for a hearing, the judge cut in. But for now, the child remains with Mr. Apollo. I didn't smile. I just nodded. Scarlett stood abruptly. He's not even his real father. The judge raised an eyebrow. And whose fault is that? Her lawyer pulled her down into the seat. After court, Andrea met me in the parking lot. She's unraveling, she said. Mom's not speaking to her. Silas is gone. Nobody's answering her calls. She's still living at the house? For now. But she got served with a fraud notice this morning. Something about misusing joint funds. I looked at her. You serious? Andrea nodded. Kinley's doing. She traced Scarlett's withdrawals to cover her motel visits. Said it could qualify as marital fraud. I shook my head. She really thought she could keep everything. Andrea handed me a thumb drive. I found something else. Old voicemails. One of them is from Silas. He says something about being sick of pretending and that she promised him a life together. I took the drive. Thanks. Andrea hesitated. You still want to raise Isaiah? I nodded. He's innocent. I'm not walking away from him. She smiled. Then you're a better man than most. That night, Kinley uploaded the final piece. A video. 5 minutes long, anonymized faces, altered voices, just the facts. The betrayal, the footage, the DNA, the lies. She posted it on a private forum used by mutual friends, co-workers, and family. She didn't tag anyone. She didn't have to. By morning, it had spread. Scarlett's art gallery pulled her name from the upcoming showcase. Her social media went dark. Friends sent me messages. Some apologizing, some shocked, some just stunned. I didn't reply to any of them. She called me 6 times. I didn't answer. 3 days later, Scarlett showed up at my apartment building. She waited outside the lobby with a paper bag in her hands. I brought his favorite snacks, she said when I opened the door. You can leave them here. She didn't move. Please, let me see him. I stared at her. You used him to cover your lies. I love him. You loved yourself. She stepped closer. You can't erase me from his life. I don't need to. You're doing that all by yourself. She looked down. What do you want from me? I took the bag. I already got it. She blinked. What? The truth. In front of everyone, that's all I ever wanted. She turned and walked away, slow, like her legs barely held her. Later that night, I sat with Isaiah on the living room floor. He was stacking blocks, babbling nonsense, laughing every time the tower fell. He looked up at me and said, Dada, help! I reached over and steadied his hand. Always, I said. The door buzzed. Kinley stepped in with takeout and 2 beers. You see the comments? She asked. Yeah. Her reputation's toast. Silas hasn't been seen since the video dropped. Someone said he's hiding out in Arizona. I took a beer. Let him rot. She sat beside me. You did it. You actually did it. I looked down at Isaiah, who was now trying to balance a block on his head. No, I said. We're just getting started. Isaiah was asleep in his car seat, head tilted, clutching his stuffed lion. I parked in front of the new apartment complex, smaller than the house, but clean, quiet, mine. Kinley helped me carry the last few boxes up the stairs. You know, she said, setting a box down by the couch, this place doesn't scream revenge-fueled breakdown. I laughed. That's the goal. We unpacked in silence for a while. The walls were bare except for one frame I'd already hung, Isaiah's first scribble from daycare. Right next to it, I placed the DNA test in a plain black frame. Kinley raised an eyebrow. Bold choice. It's not for me, I said. It's a reminder. She nodded. You think she'll fight the custody ruling? She tried. Judge didn't budge. Her lawyer dropped her last week. Kinley smiled. Guess lying to everyone catches up eventually. That weekend, I took Isaiah to the park. He ran toward the swings, arms out like an airplane. I pushed him gently, his laugh cutting through the air like music. A familiar voice behind me said, "He looks happy." I turned. Andrea stood there, hands in her jacket pockets. "He is," I said. She nodded. "Scarlett moved in with Krista. She's been real quiet lately." "She's still seeing Silas?" Andrea scoffed. "Silas left town, no one knows where. Scarlett's been trying to get him to come back. He won't answer." I pushed the swing again. He got what he wanted, then ran. Andrea watched Isaiah. "She keeps asking about him, about you. She says she wants to fix things." "There's nothing left to fix." Andrea hesitated, then reached into her bag. "I found something else, thought you should see it." She handed me a photo. Scarlett, much younger, pregnant, standing in front of a clinic. "There's a name on the back," Andrea said. "The baby she gave up. I think she's trying to find him." I stared at the photo, then folded it and put it in my pocket. "Thanks." Andrea looked at Isaiah. "He's lucky to have you." I smiled. "I'm lucky to have him." That night, I stood in the kitchen, making grilled cheese while Isaiah watched cartoons. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" A woman's voice. "Is this Apollo?" "Yes." "This is Rachel. I think I'm the adoptive mother of Scarlett's first child." I leaned against the counter. "Okay." I saw the video. The one about the affair, the DNA, everything. I recognize Scarlett. My son's been asking questions, and I think he deserves to know the truth. I took a breath. How old is he? 11. My throat tightened. "What do you want from me?" "I don't want anything, but if you ever want to meet him, or if Isaiah does one day, we're open to it." I looked over at Isaiah, who was now dancing to the cartoon theme song. "I'll think about it," I said. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a torn piece of paper with Silas's handwriting. "You win. Hope it was worth it." No signature. No explanation. I didn't bother replying. The last time I saw Scarlett, she showed up at the daycare unannounced. I was picking up Isaiah. She stood by the gate, eyes red, holding a small bag of toys. "I just wanted to give him these," she said, voice shaking. I took the bag. "Thanks." She looked at Isaiah, who clung to my leg. "Does he ask about me?" "Sometimes." She nodded. "I miss him." "You should have thought about that before you used him to cover your lies." She looked down. "I'm sorry. I didn't say anything." As I turned to leave, she called out, "Do you think he'll ever forgive me?" I looked over my shoulder. "That's not up to me." Back at the apartment, Isaiah helped me unpack the last box. He pulled out a photo of us at the beach, his tiny hand in mine, both of us grinning. "Dada," he said, holding it up. "We happy?" "Yeah, buddy," I said, taking it from him. "We are." He ran off to his room, giggling. I hung the photo on the wall next to the DNA test. Not because I needed proof of what was lost, but because I finally knew what I had. My phone buzzed again. Andrea. "You might want to sit down." "I just found something else." I stared at the screen. Then I smiled. "No more backup plans," I said out loud. "I'm nobody's safety net ever again."